Hello, I'm going to introduce you to some pelvic alignment exercises which will help to release the lower back and straighten the tendency for us all to twist one way or another. And we're going to start by standing against a wall to just see how that is. So if you get your heels right against the wall, or as the skirting board, and feel your buttocks against the wall, just in a completely natural position. You don't need to adjust anything. Your shoulders will come against the wall, but your head probably won't. And then tighten the thighs so that your legs are really tight and straight. And you should feel whether the lower back, where it's touching the wall, is level. One side may be pulling away, that's an exaggeration. One side may be pulling away more than the other. And that is a diagnosis that you have a twist, a tilt going on. One side is pulling one way and the other way. And this will create a problem with your lower back. So having done that, we're going to start, this is your first diagnosis. Having done that, we're going to start with an exercise to correct that. But this is a quad stretch. In Shiatsu, it's also a stretch for the stomach meridian. And you're going to hold onto a door handle so that you can stay strong and safe. Stand firmly on, in this case, my right foot. Take the other foot and take it behind you. And you'll see my thigh is quite close to the other side, it's not out here. If you can't do that, then grab the back of your trousers so that you can allow the leg to relax into that position. And you're standing upright. You're not going to tilt your forward and you're not going to tuck your tailbone under. So just standing nice and straight on the, in this case, the right foot. And gradually, I'm going to take my ankle and gradually pull that leg back. But as you're doing that, you're allowing the sacrum, the base of the spine, to release. You're not tucking it under, but you're letting it release, keeping the right leg straight and strong. And as you breathe, bringing that thigh more back, so the knee is pointing further towards the floor. You can hold that for a few seconds. You can come down if it feels tiring or you can't do it on that side. But you may notice that gradually this thigh will go further and you can get a stronger stretch. You're feeling it here. And you turn round to do the other side. So standing strongly, holding onto the door handle, standing strongly onto, this case, my left side, picking up the right leg, holding the trouser if that's all you can manage. The thigh is close to the other one. And then gradually bringing that thigh back, standing straight, breathing, and you might find it will come further and further back. Your heel may not go as high as mine. So you may only get this far, and that's fine. Just feeling that the thigh is being stretched and you're staying upright. And you may have noticed that one or other of the thighs is tighter, and that's an indication that that exercise will help correct the pelvic tilt. So we're going to lie down to do the next exercises. If you're comfortable lying down with your head on the floor, that's fine. Otherwise, you might want to have a book or a cushion or a yoga block and put that underneath your head. Because what we don't want is your head to be like this. We want your head to be, your neck to be relaxed, or your chin to be level with the floor rather than tilted forwards. And then just lying in this position for a moment. So as you're relaxing in this position, you may notice again that the position of the sacrum, one side might be lower, in other words it feels heavier on the floor and has more contact with the floor than the other side. So at this point, this side feels heavier, it feels like it's making a stronger connection with the floor than this side. And sometimes you can feel that also in these bones, in these, it's called the iliac crest. They're two bones that protrude at the side there, the front of the pelvis. And you might actually feel that one is lower than the other. We're lying now in a position that is used in the Alexander technique as their primary position. It's called the position of maximum rest for the spine. It's also called semi-supine. And in this position, your legs are quite comfortable like this. It's no effort. If they're too wide apart or they're too close together, you have to use a lot of effort. So you're finding a position where your legs can just stand. I've got shoes on, which does help, but you can do this barefoot. And then you just relax there. And as you breathe, particularly if you breathe into your belly, you'll gradually feel that the lumbar spine softens and lengthens and your back gets flatter to the floor. And this in itself is the primary exercise for correcting the pelvis and releasing lower back issues. If you do nothing else, this is a really good exercise. I find when I've been gardening, which isn't something I do all the time, that I need to do this when I come in, otherwise I end up with a stiff back. And the other thing you can do is you could also rest onto a chair. So you put onto the seat of a chair, so you're resting like that. They're both perfectly good positions and they will correct the lower back as you relax. So staying here for 10, 20, even 30 minutes. I know somebody who corrected a skiing injury. He knew he'd hurt his back and his hips, and he got people to help him get his legs over the bed and wrap him up in a duvet, and he spent the night there and he got up the next morning with no pain at all. So this is a really useful remedial exercise. And from there, just start to rock your legs very slowly, side to side. Again, this releases in the lower back. If you get any twinges, you should stop just a little bit, and then you can build it up. If that's comfortable, just stay at that. But for some of you, might want to go a little bit further. And even further, and you can take your head in the opposite direction, because the base of the spine connects with the base of the skull. But if that's too much for you, then please stop. Just do a little bit, because you can build up towards this. So continue doing that at whatever level you can do. You can carry on doing that in your own time if that's a good exercise for you, for 20 or so. Well, I want to show you the next one, which is a useful alignment exercise. So you're going to bring one leg straight and kind of anchor it to the ground by tightening the thigh. And the other leg you're going to bring up. I can reach behind my thighs, but some people can't. And for this purpose, you can use a towel. So if you can't reach behind your thighs, then use a towel. Because what we're going to do is take the leg up straight. So we're going to take the leg straight up And this is stretching the hamstrings, which are in the back of the thigh. Bring your shoulder blades down so your shoulders are not raised up. And if you have to raise them up or your head's up like this, then you probably need a towel. So your knees at 90 degrees, you don't want to be up here, that makes it too hard. And you're stretching the backs of the thighs. About 10 times, and then you put that down. Rest that on the floor. And then we're going to do the same with the other side. Bringing the shoulders back and raising the leg up. If you bring your knee in too much, it's much too difficult. So keeping the thigh at 90 degrees, just so you feel that stretch in the back of the thigh. Keep the other leg anchored, tightening the thigh, and then bring down back into the semi-supine position. And notice how your lower back feels at this point. You might find that the level of the sacrum is more even and the lower back is already feeling longer. But there's another exercise in case that isn't the case, or as an alternative to the hamstring stretch, for example, is to do a muscle meridian exercise. So for this you're going to do a similar thing. You're going to take one leg down, showing you this side first, and then you're bringing the other leg up to 90 degrees. So this exercise is to test whether your pelvis is aligned by bringing both knees together towards the chest. Usually one knee comes closer than the other, so you'd be something like that. And that indicates that this side is tight in the groin or in the lower back. So we want to get that to be the same position as this. We want to bring it towards you. So just test that out. Do just one leg, you have to look at them. Does one leg come closer to the chest than the other? And it might be a question, if you can't see it or feeling it, does it feel easier one side to the other? So put the leg that is easiest to come towards the chest, put that one down into this with the foot on the floor. So with the leg that is more difficult to come towards the chest, you're either going to hold in front of the knee or behind the knee, whichever is easiest for you. And you're going to push your leg away from you, but at the same time you're going to resist. Right? So pushing the leg away, but holding it in with your hands, with about half of your strength. Keep this leg stable. And then relax and bring it towards your chest again. Now some of you will find that easier or more comfortable to do with the leg straight. So try it this time with the leg straight. So bringing the leg towards you and pushing it away into your hands. So your hands are creating a resistance with about 50% of your strength. Now, it's not a huge effort. Breathe. And then release and bring it towards you again. And then bring the other leg up and see whether now that is a lot easier. You can do the other side or just the side that was more difficult. Because the sacrum is connected to the base of the skull, I like to also do an exercise to release the base of the skull. This is taken from the Feldenkrais method, and it is a passive movement in your head. In other words, you don't do anything with your head or neck. So I'm not turning my head. I'm pushing my head with my hand, and I don't do anything with my head. So if I stop pushing, my head stays still. And just start with a very small movement. Pushing one way, pulling the other way. It doesn't matter which hand you use. We're going to do both hands. Relax the jaw. Breathe. And then if your head feels comfortable and your neck is comfortable, begin to pull and push a little bit further. That may not be comfortable, you just stay at a micro movement. Pushing and pulling. And pushing and pulling. So for those of you who can do this easily, you can go further. But if it's difficult, please don't go further, because it doesn't achieve anything unless it's an easy movement. So you're going to do that about 10 times. And then we swap hands. And we swap hands because it's slightly different when you do this movement with the other hand, and you'll be working slightly different muscles in the base of the skull. So the critical thing is to let go enough that your head doesn't move unless you're pushing it or pulling it. And breathe and relax the jaw. And then take the legs down and see whether now the pelvis feels much more open. And the lower back is flatter and the sacrum feels equal on both sides, certainly does for me. And then if you want to sit up, rather than sitting up like this, if you roll, bring your legs up again, roll to one side and push up. We'll come to standing and against the wall, seeing whether your legs come further back equally and whether the pelvis is now more level. Now my head will touch the wall quite comfortably. And both sides feel much more equal. I've tightened my thighs to bring my legs back. So thank you for watching. I hope that's helped your lower back. And if you have any questions, do get in touch with me. Thank you.